out of whack. So that would be a good referral for me. And I love being here. And Christina, I was sick last week. I'm sorry, but I would love to talk to you about a podcast at some point, because I'm feeling a calling as far as my widowship, because it was a tough week for me last week. It was 10 years that my husband passed away, and it just hit me, boom, so luckily I did have a lot of, my CBD, so it really wasn't as hard, it helped a lot. But anyways, that's me, and I'm sorry I missed it last week.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
I love this guy. I love this group. I mean, I get a lot out of you every week, so I think it's great.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to us, right, Meg?
Yes.
And speaking of Meg, go ahead. Tell us about yourself there, Megan. Remember, 60 seconds.
Well, first of all, sorry for kicking you all out. That was an absolute oops on my end. But anyway, so we'll get into So Joanne and I have founded PNN together, and we actually met for the first time ever yesterday in person. Woohoo!
It was weird because I looked up and I said, "Oh, you're here." Not even thinking, "Oh, this is the first time we're in person," because you don't realize that this is like in person. It really is. It's like, oh, and I forgot. I said, "Oh yeah, that's right." That's
especially
so weird.
how much we just sit and talk during a Facebook video or whatever we do. So
yeah. Our
anyway,
Wednesday is almost every day for us. Go ahead.
But then I'm also the founder of Phoenix Variable, where I do bookkeeping and financial consulting, and I sell paparazzi jewelry. These happen to be for sale, by the way. And so I'm trying today. If I'm stuttering out, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do one event this month, and I'm also looking to be able to book some parties for the next couple months if anybody's interested. I'm live every Wednesday and Sunday at 8 p.m. Had an awesome live last night. Kind of wish you guys had been there. It was really good. I'm getting the hang of it. Or not last night, the night before. See, I'm losing track of my days. Plus, I'm also life insurance licensed. Hopefully one of these days I will have 2 seconds to actually work on my investments license as well. And you can have all your financial needs gone through me. So that's me. I'm so off. Can you tell?
It's okay. And you know what? We're not always on. We don't always have days where we're, everything is going. You'll be fine. Just
but I would
play a little Marvin Gaye in the background.
That's what she did when we were coming in. She had the music blasting. I'm like, Joanne, there's stuff going on. Breaker Blue this morning, everything was just fantastic this morning.
It happens. It happens. Okay.
But I would recommend, if you had put your information in the chat before I kicked you guys accidentally out, I would put it back in there.
You might want to do it again. All right, guys. Okay, we got everybody except me. Am I correct? Everybody
Yes.
Cool? All right. Hi, I'm Joanne Zigari. You guys all know who I am. You also know what I do. I am a co-creator with Meg on PNN, and don't forget, guys, invite folks in. Okay, if you know other business people, even if they're on your teams, even if they work with you, whatever, bring them on in. The more the merrier. We always like to hopefully give out little tidbits that help you in your endeavors. For sure. I organize online events in Facebook groups for small businesses in an effort to get people looking at you who never knew you existed. I also have trainings in my Blue Dove info group in order to, some sales trainings, because we're not all, even though we don't realize we are all in sales. If you're a business owner, you're in sales. It's just no two ways around it. But also how to get the most out of these events, how to reach out to people and friend them so you can bring them onto your business page so you can make them customers, make them love you, make you like you. Remember, we buy from people. People buy from people. They don't buy from companies. that. And of course I am also a paparazzi consultant. I just want to mention, yes, there's 3 paparazzi girls in here, but you can watch all of our lives and you can see different jewelry from all of us, because new jewelry drops every single day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. You know what? I'm going to go in order here. Megan picks out what she likes. Sam goes and picks out what she likes. Maybe there's a day I don't order, but they do. So they're going to have different jewelry than I have, kind of thing. And as much as we're supposed to buy for a plethora of tastes, we tend to go to what we like. We can't help it, So and all our tastes are different. So yeah, occasionally you'll say, oh yeah, I've seen that on Joanne's live, or I saw that on Sam's, that kind of thing, but not everything. So, we're not really in competition with each other in that respect. I just wanted to put that out there. And and that's what we got. So I think that pretty much covered me. For sure. So we can, hold on, I just heard, but I'm not going to, okay, so Wanda's not going to make it today. That's too bad. All right, so now I guess we're going to go on to, a presentation. Hello. And our presentation today is going to be with Andrea. Andrea is going to talk to us about our parenting skills and how much they suck. So anyway.
Thank you, guys. I kind of put this together briefly, really quickly. And so thank you for having me. I just put down something, took my little notes here so I don't forget anything, but basically talking about why ADHD parenting is so different, requires different parenting strategies. Kids with ADHD, a lot of parents always tell me, I'm doing the things that all my friends are doing, the consequences, the rewards, and it's just not helping. It's not working with my child. And you know what? Basically, of course, it wouldn't, because kids with ADHD, they're so different. They respond to things differently. And it's not the same thing. And actually, what I call it, requires, like, you're doing a great job. You are doing an amazing job parenting, but it requires what I call super parenting, because you really need to be like super parent when it comes to that. And I have, like, there's 3 core behaviors that affected kids with ADHD, and one of them is trouble with self-regulation. And that is like because they're internally, they're getting like their motivation there, whereas their lack of planning is all coming from their environment around them and not coming from internally. And kids with ADHD, they're a 30% lag in that self-regulation. And this could look like, to a degree, like a lack of maturity. And, they don't realize that it's hard. That's why it's hard for them to focus. That's why it's hard for them to stay, motivated on things. And it all has to do with that trouble and that lack of self-regulation. So that's a big struggle with them. Another is the inconsistency with behavior. And like an example, your child gets up one day, gets dressed, brushes their teeth, comes down, has breakfast, everything's going great. They get their backpack, they're all ready to get out the door. And then the next day, well, it's like, my God, it's like totally, they need like help every step of the way. They totally like don't know what to do next in their routine, even though they know that what their routine is, but they can't do it. And that, again, it also comes from where they're getting their self-regulation. They're not getting that internal. It always comes down to that they're not, they're relying on cues around them instead of internally. And it's really difficult. That's why from one day to the next, It could be the same thing, but they are having a react, they're going to be having different reactions, and they're going to at different, that they're not going to be over to get themselves going, and they need those cues. They're looking for cues around them to help them to get it, because they can't get it themselves. And also could be an internal factor, could also be causing. There's so many different things, like sleep. Did they have enough sleep the night before? Is something bothering them, that they have frustrations around something? So all that could be causing that inconsistent behavior. And then of course there's also, the last one is the response, the way they respond to consequences and rewards. And a lot of parents will even know that don't have a reward, where, maybe for doing the homework, and they'll see that they're so excited over that. And then the next, and it seems like, oh, look, great, this is going to work. But the next time they do it, they're not so excited anymore. And it just doesn't phase them. And the same with consequence. You could have a consequence where you're taking something away, and it may, it may bother them at first, but then it's just going to go, they're going to forget about it. And it's not going to, and that also comes down to the dopamine effect, because they're not getting that dopamine. They're not getting those bursts of that motivation hormone. That's really, they're getting bursts of it, but that's just it. It goes away. So they're not getting that consistency in it. So that's why that happens. And then these core around parenting, how does this affect parenting, and what does that mean to parenting? Well, one, anticipation. Kids can't, because our kids can't anticipate what's going to happen next and what their next move is. We as adults need to be the ones that help them to know what's going on. We need to be there, every step of the way, to show them what's next. And it's hard because our kids don't know, and that's where a lot of your parents get frustrated, because they're not. But it's not that they're doing it because they just not doing it and they don't care. It's because they don't know. They literally don't know. So it's our part is to help them, and with cues, and and being that person for them, to kind of like hold their hands and to show them, so we can teach them. Now our goal is to teach them, so as they get older, they can do this themselves. That's the whole point, is to help them. And then a lot of it, by doing this, one of them is structure, is setting up a structure, and a rewards program that works for them, and consequences, and and then also to clear instructions, literally clear instructions, and not too many. Like even if you want your child to go clean their room, that does not work. Go clean your room does not work with them, because they're going to go in there, they're not going to know what to do, where to begin, and they'll probably end up on their phone or just not do anything. So you want to break that down, and you want to clear instructions. And you know what? Why don't you go upstairs and get all your dirty clothes, put them, you can even give them something, a basket or bag, put them in here and bring them to the laundry. Just a simple task, even just try to pick up all your dirty clothes, because then they'll do that. And you have to break down things. And then 2 is more feedback, positive feedback. Our kids are always getting negative. They're always feeling like they get more negative down the line from friends, from teachers, everywhere. I mean, parents get that themselves too, but the kids need positive. They need to, because of that lack of self-regulation, they need positive. And you need to, like, if an example, like, if you see your child doing something, like, give them that positive, tell them like, great job just for getting started. Don't wait that they complete it. If they start it, praise them, give them positive and praise them. Let them know, that's great. Look at you started this. Or if they get a good grade, like acknowledge it, be happy, which we should be doing that all the time in our parenting. But the kids with ADHD and anxiety, they need that so much more. It's so important, that positive feedback. And then there's the motives and the rewards. Now, that's hard because a lot of times, an example I'll probably use of this is, say, like, all right, your child forgets to put their socks on, and a natural, if it's in the winter, a natural consequence, they're going to go to school. If they're going to go outside of recess, their feet are going to be cold. That is not going to work. It's too far out. It's not going to motivate them not to do that because it's too far out. You can't, like, a natural consequences like that doesn't really help them. Whereas to motivate them with rewards it has to be in the moment when that's happening, when the behavior is happening. And to, like, even if you see, to get them to do something, if you see that they didn't have their socks on, maybe look at it like, okay, we're all good, but what's missing? And let them kind of figure it out, help them along in the moment, like what's missing, and look down. It's like, I'm seeing something, look down, like at your feet, and they'll be socks, like help them along so they can, because it has to be in the moment. Because if you think, well, natural consequence is going to happen, it's not going to happen because it's too far out. But these are just like some little different strategies that parents can work to kind of help. That's basically just a little idea of what I do. And I have a private Facebook group for moms that can join, and in there I'll go live and I share a lot of things, and I kind of get engagement. They can ask questions and we help each other out. And then I'm actually going to be doing a 3-day workshop in there coming up, and that's going to be relying on connecting, parent connection, and it's going to give some tools and some strategies to help them. So, thank you. Anybody has any questions, feel free. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Andrea?
Not a question, but I just want to say I loved your presentation. I'm not a mom, but as a child who identified with anxiety and now working on getting my ADHD diagnosis, all the things you talked about is correct. Like, my parents did some of those things, some of them they didn't do, but like hearing your presentation, thank you. You're doing great.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you.
I do have a comment as well, because I truly believe I'm ADD. I don't think I'm ADHD, but I am ADD. And I definitely know that. And growing up in my time, it wasn't even thought about, as a kid. You got hit, you got punished, whatever, that kind of thing. But, it's a shame because it's a very real thing. And there are a lot of children that are abused because of it. And it's not something that they can really, do. It really is up to the parent. But there are so many just ignorant parents. And I do use the word ignorant, because if you're going to have children, then you need to learn how to deal with it. It's not like just pump out babies and have a great time kind of thing. It's work involved, it's teaching, it's learning, and that kind of thing. So, that's really good. And we really need to get that out there. And then there are those that fall on the autistic spectrum, just slightly autistic, but being even just slightly autistic, like you can still be mainstream and stuff like that. It can still add behaviors and behavioral problems. And, if you're an ignorant parent who just says, well, I wasn't like that, so you shouldn't be like that, that just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So this is excellent. And I think getting the word out there to new parents or people who will become parents, I think is a really big along the way. So thank you very much for this, Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say one other thing is that a lot of people like autism, like being on the spectrum, people don't realize ADHD is spectrum. And that's why there are so many different, there's actually one, and that could even be another time. I can always run down something. There are actually 7 types of ADHD. And everybody is different. You can get 2 people with ADHD, no 2 symptoms are going to be alike.
And there are different issues with
Exactly. Like, go ahead, now, Brenda, you going to say something?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that's what I did for 40 years in school as a speech language pathologist. You know, I work with kids in crisis, work with kids with communication difficulties and behavior difficulties. But, you know, we all have a little ADD in us. And let me just tell you, I've done a lot of research on this too. Those with a little ADD in us make very good network marketers because you can multitask and you can do 5 or 6 things. You know, we've learned to make lists of what we need to accomplish, but they really do. It is a very good job occupation for someone who has ADD.
Yeah, they're very creative too.
Very creative.
I never even thought about that issue, except, and I remember years of doing this, and she's, Mom, look at me, I'm talking to you kind of thing. And I didn't realize it until like within the last year or so that I'm going back in my memory and going, oh, wow, that was really shitty of me, you know, kind of thing. But I didn't know, you know what I mean? It's just like, I mean, I had 8 kids at one point. So there was a lot going on, you know. That's another thing. If you have a lot of kids, it's hard to, you know, focus on the one, okay, what's missing? You know, it's like, dude, go get your socks on, you know, kind of thing. It's kind of easier to do because, again, we are only human as well, you know, as far as that goes.
Exactly. Well, that was my big problem. Actually, it was so funny. My youngest, I have 2 kids. My daughter, September's going to be 25. She's my oldest. And my youngest in a week is going to be 21. Whoa. And he was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and ODD, actually, when he was 7. He was nonstop. I mean, I had it less. But I didn't realize it. And when I went back until I was probably in my mid to late 40s, I was diagnosed. I started seeing things. I did a test and then I took it. And I was diagnosed with ADHD. And I lived all my life not realizing, because like you said earlier, it's true, it was so different. I remember a teacher telling my parents that I had a learning disability, not realizing it. They took me to get glasses, and that seemed, because I was sat in the back, and I struggled. I mean, I got good grades, but I struggled. It was a struggle. And my son, that was a big thing, why it was also hard for me, because I was dealing with it and not realizing it. So we had a lot of the same. So it's really, really hard. And most parents that have 1 or more kids, the chances are either one or both of the parents have it, because it is definitely in the genes.
Right. But it's not a disability. It's not a disability. It's a different ability.
Absolutely.
The different ability. And I don't know if anybody watches Saturday Night Live, but Elon Musk, he's autistic. He's high functioning autistic. And look at him. Look at him. Look how successful. He just went into outer space.
You know how many people, if you go down top people, Albert Einstein had ADHD.
Yeah.
Albert Einstein was also dyslexic. So
he has that quote that I love about if the fish, you can, what's that fish? If you, oh my God, I can't even think of it now. It's
the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different outcome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Also, with ADD, that kind of thing, could that be why people can't catch up sometimes too? When I was in school, and my daughter had the same thing, my daughter Veronica, every day in 2nd grade, I believe it was Mrs. Bruno's class, and she would write in the morning, "Good morning. Today we're going to do blah, 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 blah." And it was the whole blackboard, you know how blackboards were, you know, of things we had to rewrite. She's so proud of me that I finished that day. I remember this, but it's weird. I wonder, is that like a thing? Is that like maybe because I was just like, oh, look it over here instead
And you
of
couldn't focus. You couldn't focus. Yeah.
I couldn't focus. Yeah. It's a shame they didn't know back then. They didn't
No,
even know
that's
any
like
of this.
that. It wasn't,
Well,
and it's been around for so long, but it wasn't the big, that's just the whole point of the awareness. And
Mhm.
and it's like, you know, it's between the, that's my biggest thing is the awareness of it, because
I didn't
people
even know it, Veronica.
still don't, it's getting better, but it's still like, you know, we just need to get it out there more, just like the same thing with mental health itself. The awareness of it is, people don't realize how mental health and physical health are just
Mhm.
like this.
yeah.
And that
Right.
physical health affects mental health. If you're not feeling good physically away, it's going to affect mental health.
Mhm, mhm.
You
Crazy.
know, it goes
Yeah,
together.
I
And,
had a lot of issues when I was going to school where it was like until first grade, I was in elementary school and I got diagnosed with a couple of learning disabilities. But then I went to private school where the learning disabilities weren't an issue because it was much smaller classrooms. And then you had the teachers who, because they had the smaller classrooms, like you get the more individual care. So it was almost like, I was like, oh, I'm normal. Whoa, like what's happening? But then
Yeah,
I made
that's-
the stupid
I just was
mistake
not
of
interested.
deciding to go back to public school. But because of that changeover, when I went back to public school, nobody went into my records and went, oh, wait, but she has learning disabilities. We need to like recognize that. Everybody forgot, including me. And I'm struggling through. And it wasn't until I dropped out of high school, my father forced me to go and get tested for learning disabilities. And then he found all my paperwork from when I was young. And they were like, oh, they're worse.
Oh, no.
That's why she dropped out of high school. I was like, yeah, see. So, but then,
Yeah.
I also look at my nephew's son got diagnosed with autism just a couple, like maybe 9 months ago. And I watch family members at family functions, like they get agitated with him because he's all over the place and he's literally bouncing off the walls. Like he's just woo. And he's like, he'll come in like he thinks he's tapping, but he's smacking you. And they get angry. And I'm like,
That's
you
a big
need
thing.
to have patience, guys. Like
Yep.
Yeah.
he's not doing it to be annoying. He's also 5. I mean, come on. Some of that's just being 5, but like,
Some of it, but they have to,
gets mad and
the parents that need to know how to
his parents are
instruct a
great.
child with that sort of ability, if you will, and so that they can be in a normal, and I use the word, loosely, normal environment. So because when he goes to school, he can't be whacking kids, kind of to get their attention. He has to, they have to be kind of taught how to, not hurt someone else and that kind of thing.
They've been working with him. He's not, I don't think he's in school yet. Like they've kept him, or he's in a special school or something. I don't know. But and it's also been like COVID, so everything's all messed up. Try and get an autistic kid to sit
they're
in
working on it.
do school like this, but I know I'm so proud of my nephew and his ex-girlfriend because they were 18 when he was born. And for being as young as they are, they have such patience and such a tenderness with him that I'm like, that's awesome to see. I keep telling him every time I see him with his son, I'm like, you are fantastic with your boy. You need to be proud of that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of parents that have some kids that are on the spectrum. Too often the parents don't get that pat on the back that they need. Like they have so much more to deal with as a parent than the
Just being a
normal
parent,
kid.
life itself, you know, you still
People
have to deal with
forget to
life.
say, good job. You're doing an awesome job with your kid. Like,
Listen,
good for you.
my son Robert was diagnosed. I had to take him over to Children's Hospital. He kept coming home with pink slips, misbehaving. And he was already classified as the processing issue. Like I could say, Robert, do me a favor, take this cup, bring it over to the sink on the way back, grab me that pen and that paper and bring it back to me. And he'll literally look at me and go,
What?
what?
There you go.
Right? So he was already classified with a processing problem. So I'm getting these notes home. And I said, listen, that may be all well, but you're sending home pink lipstick for him and you're just giving a hard time with what you classified him as. You classified him. So I took him over to Children's Hospital and I learned that he was ADHD. And this was now back in 1990 something, 6, 5, 7, 8, whatever those nights, one of those numbers. He was in sixth grade. And he was diagnosed ADHD. So they gave him, of course, medication. At that time, that's what you did. You didn't know about everything else. And when they gave him and of course the medication had to be tweaked and all, but when he had the medication, he went to school and he was able to sit and focus. Because I asked him, but his father didn't like the idea that anything was wrong with his child. You know, so he wouldn't give him the medication when Robert was over there. So here you go with something that is in the system and has to kind of like acclimate with the system kind of thing. Instead, he made a big deal. Oh, it's making him like a zombie. Look at him. And he wasn't at all. Except when he came home from his father's, all of a sudden he sat there like this. I'm like, what's going on? Because you didn't act like that before you went to your father's. What's going on? So with his father and everything, I wasn't able to give him his medication. We went through a very, very rough time with Robert for many years.
With my ex,
many years. So yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know where I was going with at this point, but it happens to me all the time. I'm making a point. But yeah, it's a very real thing. And anybody says to me, oh, ADHD doesn't exist, you know, it does. It does. Because you know that when you're being formed in the womb, you know, the brain is a very complicated computer. Anything can go a little off, you know, anything can go a little off. And it will, and it does. So, you know, that being said, but in any case, thank you so much, Andrea. That was very, very enlightening.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you guys.
Sure. All right. So next, I guess that's me. All right, so I guess I'll just continue talking. You know, I'm looking for this to be more interactive, guys. So, you know, please open up your your microphones. And because I want to talk about in sales, in business, and being an entrepreneur. And this was said to me many years ago when I was, you know, I've been in sales and customer service for the better part of 40 years. So I have a lot of, you know, training. It doesn't mean that I actually do the things that I'm supposed to do, but, you know, I do have the training and what have you. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The first time I said that, the first thing I heard that, it made me very uncomfortable. Just hearing, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So if I say that to any of you guys, what does it mean to you when I say in your business, get comfortable with being uncomfortable? What does that mean to you guys? Anybody?
Push your boundaries.
Hi, Michelle.
Take an extra step, go outside your comfort zone and try.
Mhm.
Many people have a difficult time with the asking people. And so just, you know, if people say no, okay, say next. No just means not now. That's all no means, not now.
It means not now, absolutely. Anyone else, what comfortable with being uncomfortable? Go ahead, Andrea.
Well, basically, I was going to say the same thing, similar to Michelle. It's be comfortable with coming out of your shell, your comfort zone. And just, you know, and no matter how uncomfortable, because you're going to feel it, because that's the point of your comfort zone. When you come, you're going to feel it, but just do it anyway. Just do it anyway, done
Yes.
is better than perfect. Just do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people, when they find that they get out of that comfort zone, as you're calling it, be comfortable, be uncomfortable. And it's not a one-time thing either. Like, you have to constantly be challenging yourself to being uncomfortable with what you're doing, kind of thing. And people will find in their business, whether they're in sales, whether they work for someone else or they work for themselves. Once you do that uncomfortable thing, you're going to actually find some growth in your business. Okay, because you took that extra mile and did something. You talked to that extra person that normally you would have done this to.
Mhm.
As far as that goes, I did write a couple of notes. I didn't want to go crazy with it and everything. I'm just saying a few words, and it means doing what doesn't come natural to you.
I just did that today. I
Okay,
came out of my comfort zone.
good, and that's
I came out of my
beautiful.
comfort zone.
And you educated us. You did a good thing. So I'm so happy to hear that. I am. Now, let's see. So when I say get comfortable being uncomfortable, for us in sales, and making the extra calls, because I was in a call center kind of situation. But for me, it might be wearing earrings and a necklace and bracelets, because I am not a jewelry person. It's really hard for me to walk out the door and I go, I have no jewelry on at all, kind of thing. Bringing your bling bag. Samantha, I think, is not uncomfortable with anything the way she's going, because she is
Not
like,
true.
she is killing it. But she's got her bling bag now, and she's going to put jewelry in her bling bag and then the little windows, and she's going to show it to people. And that is a big thing. For instance, you're out at the grocery store, and if you sell jewelry and you see somebody wearing earrings, you compliment them. Hey, I love your earrings. Those are really nice. And now you can start talking about yourself. And listen, I sell jewelry for a living, so I know that those are gorgeous earrings. Then you take something out of your bling bag with your business card attached, and you gift it. It's only $2.75. You gift it. You know what? I'd like to give this to you. Meanwhile, it has all your information on it, that kind of thing. Michelle, if you're standing in Walmart or CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, whatever, I don't know if Rite Aid's even around anymore, but if you're standing there, you see somebody looking at vitamins and whatever, always have like a pamphlet or something on you and say,
I got something better.
not like that, but you want to start, you see them looking at vitamins, you kind of start up a conversation and say, I hear vitamin D3 is excellent. And you start having a conversation. Now, all of a sudden, say, you know what? I have these, I have something that is kind of similar, but it's going to be a little more natural for you. Can I give you a little information? So you could have a little pamphlet out, kind of thing, and hand them over to them. What did I say here? Oh, you will find, pay attention. Pay attention when you're out and about, people, because that whole thing of being comfortable with being uncomfortable involves you going outside, involves you talking to people. And it's really hard these days because of this whole pandemic crap that's going on. Everybody's kind of succumbed into their own world. They won't even look at you in the store anymore. You can't even make eye contact. So this is going to really make you feel uncomfortable. It really is. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and I'll talk to anybody. I don't care who you are. But even this whole environment in our world, in our country, has made me uncomfortable as well, because I don't want to make that person uncomfortable. The idea with you being uncomfortable, you want to make sure that you're not making that person uncomfortable, because you want them to talk to you. So you want to open a very unassuming conversation, about what they're looking at. You're talking about ADHD, and you want to sell your Amari kind of thing. So you see people, looking at different kind of natural, you want to go into like health food stores and talk to people that are customers, kind of thing. You want to be able to talk about your business with other people. Christina, where could you go that you could talk to people about this stuff? Are you joining any Chamber of Commerce's, any networking events, in-person networking events where you see people who are talking about their product, where you can say, you know what, this would be awesome in a podcast. Have you ever thought about that? Now, maybe they do a podcast. Well, that's wonderful. Let me give you my information. This is what I do and what I can do for you. Always make sure you know your product. Know your product, because you know what? Your products, no, I'm not talking to Christina here because I'm talking about now more direct sales. Your products are expensive. They are. And if you put them, but you got to say, you know what? And this is what I used to say when I was vegan. I was actually vegan for a while. Don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, you know what I always use? You want to pay now or pay later. Is really good. You're going to pay now or you're going to pay later. If you pay later, it's going to be with your health and your money. Right now, you're going to pay with your money. Then it's going to be your health and your money, and it's going to be bad. So it's sort of, so, but you've got to make sure you know your product inside and out. Because when someone says to Michelle, yeah, but your sprays, you know, but I could get a bottle of vitamins for $8, you know, kind of thing. Well, Michelle needs to know that product inside and out to say, well, this is what it's going to do. And in comparison, you can't compare the two, but why? Always ask yourself, why if I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about this mouse, why is this mouse better than the mouse they're using? Always ask yourself why, because when you go out and have that conversation, you don't want to be stumped. You want to know what you're talking about. That's so important. And if you don't know your product inside and out, you need to learn it. Absolutely. So because this is going to involve you in a face-to-face kind of thing. So knowledge is always power, guys. That's one of the things I remember from a movie a long time ago with William Hurt and Catherine. Shit, what was her name? It was the one, it was back in the 70s, I think, with his, he used to go into that oxygen tank there, and he used to like start morphing into stuff or whatever it is. It was really a crazy movie. It was like back in the 70s. Some people may or may not remember. Anyway, it's
Enough said. It was in the 70s.
Doesn't mean people don't watch old movies, okay, Christina? Okay. So anyway, Kurt and Catherine, I can't remember her name. Anyway, one thing she said in that movie, it stuck with me all these years. Knowledge is power. And is it ever? So learn your stuff inside and out. Be comfortable talking to other people. You know, go into different businesses like Michelle. I don't know. Can you take your product into some health food stores and see if you can't put a little stand in their store?
I do. I have a couple wholesale accounts that yeah.
Nice.
But
Awesome.
that took me out, you know, my comfort zone to say, you know, would you like to do this? This was something that would benefit it. It would jive with your stuff. I talked to veterinarians because we have CBD for pets.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And,
that's exactly what I mean. Exactly what I mean.
Well, you know what? I would love to sign up for, you know, I do a lot on mindset, but there's telling your story, and there's a whole program that I could, it's 4 steps that I could teach about that, because you have to have your story come out flawlessly. You know,
yes.
You know, you need to know the line. Like if you see in what I write in my little intro in the chat, I love to help people look, feel, be, and now I just put in sleep and move better. But that comes out of my mouth like just bleh. I don't even think about that. So
right. you get, because you know your product, you know what you sell, you know what it does for people, you know your why, you know why you're doing it. And I don't.
When you get that practiced and that it comes out so naturally, you know, I mean, it really works. It really works.
Exactly.
Okay, Michelle, we'll talk about you maybe doing that. You want to do that next week by any chance?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Speaker. Okay, fine. And you know, Brenda and Sam, you know, when you want to talk about your product, you know, getaway, you know, vacations, that kind of stuff. It's easy to see people on the street or in a store who look exasperated and need a vacation. You know, it's easy to look at a guy and say, you look like you need a vacation.
Well, I can't get my video to work. It just keeps going on and off. It's driving me crazy. I logged off and then it came back on and then it went off. But anyway, as far as things for me, like I'm doing a webinar on the 19th of August. And I partnered with Sandals. So we're going to show some of the new sandal property in Curacao. And what they've done there is just amazing. I'm going to be at the Blueberry Festival this weekend in Ellenville tomorrow, handing out brochures and all that good stuff. And on the 23rd, I'll be traveling to Costa Rica. So I'm going to do some lives from down there. And yeah, I'm going to
do a video of that.
Yeah, I'm going to do some live videos while I'm down there because it's just beautiful country down there, and I'm excited. I have never been there before, so I'm going on a tour with a tour company, and they're going to just take us to all these really nice, places where you could stay. Really, one place was just so cool, right? Like right by the volcanoes in a treehouse kind of an environment. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm just going to do some lives. And like I said, I partied with Sandals this weekend, so I'm going to be at the Blueberry Festival next week. I'm doing a lot, my presentation on it'll be a webinar, and just trying to keep busy and helping clients that want to travel but are still a little weary. They want to go, and I get it.
Yeah, I'm very leery. I would love to go.
Yeah, so I mean, things get a little complicated. Sometimes I wound up this past week, I had a group of between 20 to 30 people traveling to Aruba and Hawaii, and one of my clients was denied and boarding on JetBlue because he didn't get there too late. The line was just so long to check the bags that by the time he got to the counter, there wasn't enough time to get to the gate. And now you have to be at the gate an hour before they start boarding. So if the flight is at 8, they start boarding at 7:15. You have to be at the gate at 6:15. So if you're not at that gate, they're not going to let you down there. So I've been telling clients, get to the airport like 3-4 hours early. Anyway, he stood on a really long line. He never talked to anybody. And when he got to check his bags, it was too late for him to get to the gate. So I had to reroute him, and, I didn't know if he got on the plane. It was crazy. It was like, I had to call the tour operator. I'm like, I don't know where he is. He's either in the air or he's still lost in the airport, but we got to find him. So he arrived, but, it was just, now getting the transport company to pick him up and bring him to the hotel. So there's all these logistics that are happening and not within our control. Okay. So the airlines are understaffed. And they're canceling flights and they're doing all these crazy things. And, I know clients, they want to leave out of Stewart. I'd love to leave out of Stewart, but if there's one flight leaving out of Stewart and that flight cancels, you're done. You can't go anywhere. So I've been, telling people, let's find, go to an airport where we know there's going to be other flights leaving to that destination throughout the day.
LaGuardia, Westchester, those bigger airports.
You want something else. So there's a lot of, you have to have a lot of patience right now, and the thing is, you go on vacation to relieve stress. You don't want added stress while you're trying to get there.
Yes.
So
that's another good reason for having a travel agent help you.
Yeah. So like, last Thursday, it was just, back and forth. I was on the phone with the advisors for like 5 hours, just trying to get him on another flight. Then wasn't sure if he got on, then finding him. And then once I found him, getting to where he had to be. So I just tell people, just if you really want to go someplace, I only recommend a few places out of the country where it's a little bit easier to get to. And then those places you want to go to that are a little bit more difficult, you really have to be open-minded and patient, because it's just, everybody's experiencing problems with, everybody. I gotta take this, sorry, it's my doctor. I'll be right back.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Thanks, honey.
I like your ringtone now.
But at the same time, you can be at networking events and that kind of thing. We're supposed to, the idea of being comfortable with being uncomfortable is doing things out of your norm. It is normal if you're going to networking, you're going to talk to people. So I'm talking about everyday people on the street.
people in the store, you're in Stop and Shop and you see someone who's just exasperated, you can tell when people are like, I don't know. Or you just go, gosh, I sure could use a vacation. How about you? Kind of thing, well, I have just the thing.
Card.
Another thing, if you're talking to somebody in the store or on the street or something like that, and you go and you get to talk about what you do because they're having a conversation and you're, easing them into what you do and what you have. You go, are you on Facebook? You are? Awesome. Who are you on Facebook? Get friends with them right away. Don't wait. Don't give them a card with your Facebook address on it. Chances are that card's going to get lost in their bag or in the car or something like that. Do it right then and there. So, I'm on Facebook too. What's your name on Facebook? Let's do it right now. Do it right then and there. Bring up your Facebook, become friends with them right then and there so that you can, because on Facebook is where we have a lot of our information, no matter what we do. I know, Christina, do you have a Facebook? Do you have a business page on your Facebook? Christina?
I do.
Good.
It's not real active, but I do.
Okay. But if you get into people, if you would be like more in a networking event. So I would, even if you don't be a vendor at a network event, you should be walking those networking events, walking and talking to people. Comfortable or not comfortable, it doesn't matter, but you need to start talking to them, seeing what they do. And if they don't do a podcast, what a wonderful freaking idea. And it's so easy to start a podcast. It really is. Megan and I know, we did it. So, it's really easy to do and how to talk to them and start to educate them and become their friend. Because once you become their friend, something comes up, they're going to call you. I know Megan and I are going to be calling you.
I'm gonna have to find out some stuff too, Christina.
There you go.
Awesome.
Something down in my
You have
down
Michelle's
the
going to call
road.
you. Who knows? Anything can happen from it when you start making friends with people and you bring your phone out, your Facebook, and say, okay, I'll get on search. Okay, what's your name on Facebook? How do you spell that? Oh, awesome. We're going to be friends. I can't wait. Dude, there's your contact. You just made a contact.
Yep.
Will it lead to something? Maybe. Do they know somebody who might could lead to something? Maybe. But you have to keep pursuing that kind of thing. So that's all I have to say on it. So as far as this goes.
Sam wants to talk.
Yes,
I want
darling.
to add, you also got to get comfortable talking about admitting the negatives to your product, because there's always going to be someone going, well, I've heard of you. What about XYZ? And I actually had that happen with my jewelry right before I packed it away in a pod. One of my parents' employees was looking for jewelry for his girlfriend. I was like, hey, I have awesome $5 jewelry. And he's like, well, does it not last long? And he used the word cheap. I would never call it that. And I was like, well, if you take care of it, it'll last a long time, but you have a new baby, right? And he goes, yeah. I was like, it likes to tug on jewelry, doesn't it? And he goes, well, yes. And I was like, well, considering to your point, you're right. It is cheap. If your new baby breaks it, it was $5 and I got more. And he's like, okay. And he ended up buying $100 worth of jewelry. So you got to get comfortable with admitting the negatives to your product and counteracting them.
That's great. That's wonderful. See what you did. See
Another
negative and
great
she
way.
made it into a positive. That's a whole nother training. But
Right.
thank you. But
Right.
yeah,
You can also, hold on one sec. But then also with that is you say, well, if they do break it, make sure to bring it well, you're moving. But I would normally be like, tell them if they do break it, bring it to me. Maybe I can fix it because I've got the kit that I can fix your
Yeah.
jewelry.
I mean, that's getting more into it, but yeah, I think that what she
Still.
said was perfect. And the guy bought $100 worth of jewelry. Hey, you can't beat that with a stick. That's for darn sure. Good for you. That is amazing. But yeah, you got to be able to turn, that's again, learning your product, turning a negative into a positive. When you know your product, you can do that. So
And that's
yes.
getting out of your comfort zone, because once you're said no, someone says no to you or gives you a counter, if you freeze,
It's
Yeah.
enough.
if you're
She could have just walked away and said, oh, all right, and walked away. instead just said, well, that may be so, but here.
I do a Zoom with my team and we role play. I pretend I'm a customer and they're trying
Role
to.
playing is important. I used to hate that. Oh, I hate role playing.
I think too, you have to give people options. I know, like with travel, things are, when you add airfare to any package, it gives this price that's huge. So what I did with a client, they're like, well, that's fine, but can you find, if you can go a little bit less. All I did was take the package, break it out, show them what the cost of, separated it out and said, okay, here's the package. And then here's your air. Because, people have other options.
Oh, yes.
And when I broke it out and she saw how the air was more than the package, then she started, well, I've got airline credits and there you go. So you make people realize, I didn't do anything. I didn't change the package. I just presented it differently and made them aware, and also too, educating the client too about your product on how the different things and how they interpret once they see a number. And I think if you just take a different approach, that sometimes that the second approach is going to work, and they're not going to say no, or maybe they're going to say yes. So it's all in approach, and it's all in how people see the value of the price that you're giving them.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and
Yes,
sometimes we get caught up in that. And we think that it's us, and it's not us. You know what I mean? So it's a way of delivering your bottom line and having the client understand it. So.
Right now, did you come up with that idea yourself? Let me give you the package price and then the air price kind of thing, because that's really kind of genius.
Well, you know what? Because air is so expensive.
Genius.
Right. But air is so expensive right now. I always recommend to use their points or, travel credits or things like that to offset their cost. And there's ways you can do that with your credit card too. So I try to educate people. Sometimes people are so busy, they sometimes don't want to learn a new thing. And I get it. I get technology brain freeze too. And I don't want to learn something, but nowadays there's ways that you can do that. So what I decided to do was, I sat back and said, how am I going to show this client that really where the expense is and where the value is? So I said, you know what? I'm just going to break the whole thing out differently, as opposed to doing it as one entire thing and say, here, you can, if you have points or airline miles or whatever, use your credit card for the airlines. And she did. She wound up using her airline points, which she didn't know how to do before, and I showed her how to do it. She wound up getting her airline tickets. Instead of paying $4,300, she took $2,000 off the cost of her airline tickets.
Wow.
So here's another way of showing value of your services. Not only did I educate them, I showed them how they could save money on their vacation by just learning how to go through the steps. And so they were thrilled. I mean, she was so excited. But sometimes people are afraid of utilizing technology, and and that sometimes you have to kind of walk them through the steps. So that's what I decided to do. And I'm doing that now moving forward. And I'm finding that when I break those two out and people see what it's actually costing for the airfare, they see they have options. And then the package I'm giving them is way within their budget. So.
That's fabulous. That is fabulous.
Yeah, I do the same.
I'm sorry, who said that?
And,
Oh, okay. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so this kind of goes into our 10-minute breakout, which we kind of been talking. So I kind of love this. I love this.
we're kind of there. We're already kind of in
My
it.
question for the breakout was very simply, what are you going to do this upcoming week that you're uncomfortable with, that is going to help your business? So what I want to do, and I don't have a car right now. I will the Monday after next, because it's not registered right now. It's unregistered and it's not inspected. It is insured. Okay. But at this rate, but I won't drive it. So, but what I want to do is for me, what my thing is, I want to take my bling bag, and I want to go ahead and I want to go into different hair salons. And I want to show them a couple of pieces. and ask them what they think about it. Because for me, paparazzi, although we know paparazzi and that kind of thing, there are a lot of people that don't even know what it is. My next door neighbor has no idea what paparazzi is. She has zero idea what it is. It's not a household name, but that is my company's goal, is to become a household name like Avon, like Mary Kay. I mentioned Mary Kay, everybody knows it, right? I mentioned, Avon, oh my Lord, everybody and their uncle knows it. But not everybody,
Work with Avon.
right, nobody knows. It's not a household name yet, but they're looking to do that. You have about, I don't know, 8 million Avon reps, like, I don't know, 10 million Mary Kay reps. We have probably about 500,000 paparazzi reps in comparison. So you can see everybody says, oh, it's saturated. No, it's not. So my goal is to go into these hair salons and see if I can talk to the owner or manager and see what they think of it. And if they say, wow, that's really nice, it's only $5. Is this something you might be able to use in your salon?
Well, not only that, they may allow you to do like a little pop-up jewelry show in their store.
Exactly.
While they have customers sitting there waiting or whatever, they might let you do a little pop-up.
Exactly. So that is going to be my thing, because even though I talk about being in sales forever and I still get uncomfortable doing certain things, and why do we get uncomfortable? Because we're afraid we're going to get a no. And then, overcoming that objection. Holy crap, that is hard. Samantha overcame an objection. She overcame it and she made a sale. Kudos, you are so smart cookie. But I might have went, oh yeah, kind of thing, but I probably would have thought of something. But I wouldn't have thought of that. I would not have thought of that. That's really good. But is anybody here planning on doing something that's going to make them uncomfortable and try to grow their business this coming week? Okay, Sam.
So there's this program called ManyChat, and what it does is, yeah, you've heard of it. It helps manage your business page and sends messages, but building a template is very difficult. And someone who's not good at technology, I know I'm young, but I'm really not good at it. I'm going to spend pretty much when I'm not driving, since we're tag teaming, or I'm going to actually watch the videos and try and build a template. So I have no excuse. I can't leave the car. I have nothing else to do. So
there are people who charge like $1,000 to set up your ManyChat account.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard. I wanted a ManyChat in the worst way, and I just can't figure it. I cannot make heads or tails.
What's the name of the program?
ManyChat, ManyChat.
I'll type it in.
It's on Facebook. It's part of Facebook.
Wait, spell that again?
I typed it in the chat.
Oh, Many.
Okay, awesome.
Many, like many, MANY, many,
Awesome.
ManyChat.
Oh,
Many people, many
I never
chat.
heard of that.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
apparently complicated, but I also don't want to pay someone else to do it, so I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
We'll see if I succeed.
Darling, if you figure that out, you're coming here and you're teaching us all.
That sounds good.
Yeah, really.
That's it. All right, so she's gonna learn ManyChat. That's very
That's
uncomfortable.
awesome, because then you got ManyChat, you got Linktree. It's all like all these funnels. That's awesome.
And that's
Yeah.
the important part of a network marketing, is having funnels, having a system that brings people to your site.
My
Yes.
motto in
Funnels.
business is work smarter, not harder.
Not harder.
Yep.
Yes. And I will tell you that your wealthy people have like 7 streams of income. I always say that. And then I ask, how many do you have? And it's like, oh, one kind of thing, but you gotta have them. You have 5. Good.
That's right.
I include my husband's income. That's 1. I include my Blue Dove. That's 2. I include my paparazzi. That's 3. Then within paparazzi, I have the lives. I go to assisted livings. Well, I've only got 1 right now, but hopefully I get it, but I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen with this environment. So that's why I'm holding back. But I'm going to try to go into the hair salons. So yeah, I'm trying to think of different ways to bring in income, kind of thing. So,
and we can't let COVID, hinder us. 2022 probably will be back to a normal somewhat life, but
I don't know.
Normal.
but
They're
if,
saying 2023.
are they? But if we
Yeah.
can't get outside, like down here in Florida, it's a you know what kind of show. I mean, it's just, but so that's forced me to go into social media more. What's
Mhm.
a platform that I can go on? You know, LinkedIn has stories now. So I've been putting stories on LinkedIn. I don't know what I'm doing on LinkedIn, but it's, you know, I'm just trying to be out there on more social media platforms. Because I'm a better belly to belly seller. I see someone, I listen for pain points. You know, I don't interrupt, but I just, you know, I used to sell a lot just by talking. And now because we're so isolated, you know,
Mhm.
the way to do it is social
Yeah.
media.
That's why I say if you're at a Walmart, a Walgreens, or a CVS, you see somebody looking at vitamins, all that kind of stuff, strike up that conversation, because you
Well, I
don't know
al-
where that's gonna
I
lead.
always wear a shirt if I'm out in a store, and I don't go very often, but I wear a CBD shirt. I always have a CBD shirt, and people
Yeah.
always stop me and say, "What is that about?" Hey, you got 5 minutes? And then that's what I do. Yeah.
That's
You'd
awesome.
love, my husband has a shirt that says legalize freedom and then it has a pot leaf. And I cannot tell you, like, you get a couple of the younger crowd, but we get such a kick out of it when we get like our parents' age and older going, yeah. And we're like, did they really read what that said?
They do. They
They
do.
did. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
they do. Hello?
You're like,
Yeah.
cool, Granny. Yay.
Shut up.
Well, ladies, since we're all talking about hair salons, my daughter has told me she's gonna take care of doing my hair today now. So I'm gonna get a hair treatment right here in my own house. So I got to rock and roll. Thank
Okay,
you.
you
ladies.
rock and roll. Thank you, Brenda.
Guys,
Brenda.
See you
all right,
later,
so
alligator.
I sent everybody the link through Facebook Messenger. If you can join me on Thursday night with sandals, it's just a nice little, you know, see what's going on in the world, and we can
Sounds
be at the
good.
beach without being at the beach. So anyway, bring your
the
sunglasses,
last
bring a
one.
margarita, and let's have some fun. Have a
Hey,
great
quick
weekend,
question
everybody.
before you go. Quick question, Brenda. What, off the top of your head, and if you don't know, you don't know. What about our prices of airfare to, say, sandals?
It depends on where you're gonna go. So if you're gonna go to the Bahamas, you're probably looking at right now, probably about 500 each round trip. That's,
trip.
no,
Okay.
I would
All
say
right.
St. Lucia is probably gonna be a little bit higher. Jamaica is lower, you know, Jamaica is more between 300 and 400. So it really depends on the island that you're going to. I mean, I got a plane ticket to Costa Rica cheaper than I was able to get my clients' tickets to Nashville. Go figure that out. I can't. So, you know, it really depends. If, you know, if the airline carrier is not full to that destination, then they're going to drop the prices. If they're filling, then the prices are going up. So,
Got it.
so it really,
Price
really
gouging.
depends. Yeah, that's basically what they're doing. So, you know, it's crazy. But anyway, you can always email me and ask me, and we can always take a look and see what's going on in any particular destination. But at
Okay.
on this video, on this webinar that we're having,
Yeah.
they're offering some really great specials to people who show up. I mean, fabulous, 65% off, you know, lots of different perks. So, yeah. So, and you know, you could book out till the end of 2022 if you want to, you know what I mean? So for people who aren't comfortable traveling right now and feel a lot more safer going in 2022 when we get through all the crazy, you can utilize the special and you can book out way past into 2022. So anyway, if you can join me on Thursday night, that would be great. And if you're up and around in Ellenville this weekend at the Blueberry Festival, stop by and say hi. I'd love to see your friendly faces. Okay.
Okay, Ellenville? It's Ellenville, did you say?
Yeah, it's in Ellenville. Yeah. And it's supposed to be
Ellen or Ellen?
Ellenville. Yeah. It's a beautiful drive. It's a beautiful drive. I know from my house in Pine Bush up over the mountain. It is a spectacular drive. It's just absolutely breathtaking, the views. So if you can come on, join us, you know, great. It's not going to be too hot tomorrow, but you know, if so,
Saturday.
yeah.
Okay.
Some
Ellen, is that Ellenville with an E or Allenville with an A?
No, it's Ellenville, with an E, like in Edward.
ELLEN.
P-I-L-L-E, yep, and I'll be there. Guys,
Ellen Bill. Thank you, Blueberry
thank
Festival.
you guys for
Okay.
having me. Everybody have a great weekend and be safe, okay?
Thank you for joining us. Be
Yeah.
safe.
Bye.
Bye, Brenda.
Bye.
Blueberry Festival. Okay.
I think I'll also put up on, I just wanted to, as a little side note, I just wanted to let everybody know SCORE in Dutchess County is actually doing, it looks like it's a webinar on TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram on
Ooh.
Wednesday from 1 to 2. So if anybody's interested in that,
Or that's the retired businessmen. They volunteer.
well, it's
all
not all
their-
retired. There's a lot of business owners.
Well,
and
it used
stuff
to be
like that.
anyway.
We can be mentors
SCORE
for
is-
people.
It's a senior thing, though. It's usually the seniors. It's usually retired business people who go on there and they give their advice for free. They volunteer.
Oh, but it's a website? It's a
It's a
website?
group.
SCORE, SCORE. There is, I think they do have a website, SCORE. I used to have SCORE. I used to in touch with them when I was in Jersey a couple of times. Very
Well,
helpful.
I've actually had a lot of, they're branching out to actually have more people that are still in business. So like I had a.
This
I
is
had-
years ago that it was
No,
just
I
years.
know. I'm
sure they-
saying,
I'm
I
sure
think
they've
they
changed.
had a hard time finding enough mentors that were retired that they just said, like, if anybody in the world wants to just be a mentor, if you can spare the time. So there's a
Right.
lot of people that are still in business that'll mentor you on, like, so I had a mentor for a time, but I still get their emails. So I got an email actually this morning saying that there was, so Wednesday, the 18th from 1 to 2 Eastern Standard Time, it's TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram.
It's good. Insta's really good.
Yeah, so it says, are these tools what you need to attract and connect to today's youth customers?
And SCORE is not one of those platforms where you go there so that you can get business. It's not like a networking business where you're looking to get business.
They're really
These are generally people who go there and they generally want to help. At least that's what it was way back when.
It is,
So.
yeah.
mhm.
A lot of
So,
people
so
that
I
are
just want to
just
do our
starting.
closing because it's past 11:30 and then we can continue chatting if you'd like. Okay, so thank you for coming, guys. In closing, we'd like to take this time to say thank you for taking part in PNN. If you know of any professionals you think could benefit by joining in with us, please feel free to extend an invitation to them. Everyone is welcome. We're every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you very much and have a lovely day.
And if you know anybody who you would think would be really great speakers, or that they would be great for helpful hints.
Yeah, we need a helpful hint for next week, guys. No one wants to hear me again.
Richard's doing next week.
Is he? What's he doing?
So I don't know if anybody knows, and I'm actually going to end the recording now. So, hold on.